In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Gauss elimination method to solve the system of equations. So, as you can see, we have three equations, that is equation 1 being x1 plus x2 is equal to 0, equation 2 being 2x1 minus x2 plus 3x3 is equal to 3, equation 3 being x1 minus 2x2 minus x3 is equals to 3. Now, the first step that we will take is to swap the rows. This is row 1, this is row 2, this is row 3. So if we swap, an equation is swapped with another. That means that swapping means interchanging the position of the equations. You can interchange the position of equation 1, and equation 2, or equation 1 and equation 2, or equation 1 and equation 3. Now, in this, we are going to interchange the position of equation 1 and equation 3. That is, swapping row 1 and row 3. So, I have said that swapping means interchanging the position of the equations, interchanging the position of equations. So, if I swap row 1 and row 3, that means I will have my row 1 as x1 minus x2 minus x3, as you can see here. Row 2 remains. We have not interfered with row 2. It remains the way it is. Then we have row 3 being x1 plus x2 is equal to 0. So the second step that we will take is that an equation is replaced by the sum of itself and a multiple of another. So in this, I am going to ensure that this is what we will look at when we are proceeding this, that an equation is replaced by the sum of itself and a multiple of another. So in these equations, I have equation 1 and equation 2 having both x1, x2 and x3. So what we will do, we will ensure that equation 2 have only two unknowns, and ensuring that it has two unknowns, it is done using the second step that I have shown you here, that an equation is replaced by the sum of itself and a multiple of another. So I will ensure that x3 is eliminated in the second equation. This is the second equation. So ensuring that equation, that is not equation, but x3 is eliminated, I will do this. As you can see, this is 3x3. This is negative x3. So I will have my row 2. Row 2 plus 3 row 1. I am replacing row 2. I am replacing row 2 by adding row 2 with 3r1. That is, 3r1 means 3 row 1. So as you can see, this is 2x1 plus 3x1 will be 5x1. That is the second row that I am replacing. Then we will have negative x2, not x1 but x2, negative x2 plus 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Therefore, if I have negative x2 plus negative 6x2, I will have negative 7x2. Then 3x3 plus negative 3x3, I will have 0 is equals to 3 plus 3 times 3 is 9. So 3 plus 9 will be 12. So I have only replaced the second row, as you can see. So the first and the third row remains, that is x1 minus x, that is 2x2 minus x3 is equals to 3. I have x1 plus x2 is equals to 3. Not 3 but 0. x1 plus x2 is equals to 0. Now, after this, what we will do, we will eliminate either x1 or x2 in the third row. So, I want us to eliminate x1 because it is easier to eliminate x1 than x2. So let us eliminate x1. So I will have 5. Let me have negative 5 row 3. This is row 3. This is row 3. So I will have negative 5 row 3 plus row 2. I am replacing row 3. So I will retain row 1 and row 2 because I am changing only row 3. So I will have x1 minus 2x2 minus x3 is equals to 3. So I also have 5x1 minus 7x2 is equals to 12. Then I have my row 3 as negative 5x1 plus 5x1 will be 0. Then negative 5x2 minus, not minus, but negative 5x2 plus negative 7x2. I will have negative 12x2 is equals to negative 5 times 0 is 0 plus 12 will be 12. Therefore, the next step that we will take in this, since we have negative 12x2 is equals to 12, we can solve for the value of x2 here. So I will say negative 12x2 is equals to 12, and I divide here by negative 12, and I divide here by negative 12. I will have my x2 is equals to negative 1. Now, since I have my x2 as negative 1, and initially I was having equation 2 as 5x1 minus 7x2 is equals to 12. So instead of x2, I will replace with negative 1. So I will have in this 5x1 minus 7, x2 is negative 1, then I have 12 as you can see. So I will have 5x1 plus 7 is equals to 12. So if I take 7 to the other side, I will have 5x1 is equals to 5, and x1 will be 1. That is positive. Since we have gotten the value of x1 and x2, then we can also find the value of x3 in the first equation. As you can see, we have x1 minus 2x2 minus x3 is equals to 3. So I will replace the value of x1 as 1 and the value of x2 as negative 1. Now I have 1 minus 2 into negative 1 minus x3 is equals to 3. So I have 1, negative 2 times negative 1 will be positive 2 minus x3 is equals to 3. So I have 1 plus 2 is 3 minus x3 is equals to 3. So if I take x3 to the other side, I will have positive x3 is equals to, I take this 3 to this side, I will have 3 minus 3, which means x3 is 0. Therefore, that is how you can find the value of x1, x2, and x3 using the Gauss elimination method. So how I wish that you could subscribe, like, share, and comment.